So welcome to The Real Build. I'm your host, Bill Ryman, your broker builder. And today I got a guest coming actually right across from me in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He's the owner of one of the fastest growing air conditioning companies in his area. And it's great to have this guy on the show and discuss this important topic because us being in Florida, obviously it's very hot and people want to know all about AC, especially up north too, because it's been hot up there this summer. Chad Aitken, welcome to The Real Build. How you doing?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm doing good. It's a good day. It's South Florida, so it's where I love to be. It's hot and it's beautiful.
Yeah, another hot day, especially where I'm at here too. So
Yeah.
hopefully we're cooling down here in the next couple of months. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping the heat stays, but we enjoy it.
Yeah. So anyway, what I like to get started is, let's discuss your background. So let's talk about who is Chad Aitken.
Got it. So I'm born and raised South Florida. Been here my whole life. Lived in Broward. Went up to Palm Beach for a little bit, then came back to Broward. I ended up having a child really early in life, so that forced me to just work, just to maintain certain jobs. And I really didn't have a career, didn't go to college, so I was working at a mechanic shop and a couple of buddies of mine that were working there. I wasn't the mechanic, I was just in the parts department. They were like, you got to go to school for something. You got to go to school for something. Don't be a mechanic. I said, go for something like AC, learn a trade, do something. And at the time I was a single father, so it was tough to just be away from my son or leave him with somebody else or a babysitter and try and go to school at night because I had to work during the day. So at the time, my mother was willing to help, and I was dating somebody. She was willing to help. She said, go to school, I'll help you. And she was a single mother as well. So I went to school at night, 4 nights a week. I did an apprenticeship program for 4 years. And I think that's what helped me get a little further. So I got a job in AC about a month in and went to school part-time at night. So being in the field and then going to school elevated me just to learn faster and learn more, I think, than just jumping into AC. So I did that work for a very small company. Then I went to a large company in our area, worked with them for 7 years, but I started just as a helper, worked my way up until I really couldn't go any further. And once I got to the top, I learned a lot, very, very professional company, did things the right way as far as professionalism and business. So I learned a lot and just got to where I really couldn't go anymore. And I'm the kind of guy that likes to keep going. So it was tough to be stuck somewhere and really not have much more opportunity for me. So that's when I got into my mind that I should really do what I was good at. And that was AC. I'm good with people. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy solving problems. So I started, studying at night, and I did that for 1.5 years. And I took my test, got my license, and then I took the leap and went on my own. And that was we incorporated in 2015. I officially jumped on my own in 2016 and hit the ground running. And we've pretty much doubled in size year after year. So we've been in our new office for about 1 year now in Pompano, which we're just north of Fort Lauderdale, but we service mainly all of Broward County, but North Miami up to Palm Beach. So we've been continuing to grow, and that's pretty much, a short perspective of my story, or how it got started.
Well, that's awesome to hear because, it's what people don't understand, starting from the ground up and then working your way to where you have gotten what your company's continuing to grow too. Because a lot of people we've talked, me and you've talked instant satisfaction of just jumping right into something. I've talked about it on past episodes, especially in the building industry, if people, a guy has a pickup truck and becomes Joe Builder goes and gets a license, gets another person to sign off on it, and then he's trying to build houses, and he thinks he's going to get rich quick, but he doesn't have a clue what he's doing.
No.
You know, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same in any kind of business, even your business too. You know, you've seen some rough stuff out there.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, that you've had to fix now because you do it the right way, and you've learned that too.
Absolutely.
So,
And I was blessed. I say I was blessed to have worked for such a professional company, and really took everything that I could 100% and learned all those proper steps to, you know, treating the customer right, to doing the right thing every time. And just the professionalism, because I see guys that have worked for small companies their whole life.
yeah.
Now they're on their own and they just have no clue. They have no clue of customer service, no clue of professionalism. They're just getting by, and it's all about the money versus all about the customer. I've said from day one, for me, there's no way to fail in AC, or there's no way to fail in this industry. If you treat people right, you always do the right thing, you'll be successful. You know, and whatever success is to you, but you will be successful if you do the right thing, for sure.
Which is in majority of industries too. I mean, you go all out for the customer, you do the right thing, which unfortunately a lot of people don't do. You know, and they just are about what you said, making that quick buck and then moving on to the next paycheck. And it's just not, you know, it's unfortunate too. So, I mean, jumping into like my next question, which I ask everybody too. So let's dive deeper into it. Why did you choose AC over other industries?
Yes, that's good. So AC was, you know, obviously we live in South Florida. It's hot. And at the time I was thinking it's a business that will always flourish. It's a trade that's not going anywhere. You know, however we improve in this trade, you know, things change, but everybody's always going to need that comfort, especially in South Florida where we're at, and all the way up north. You know, it turns into heating certain times of the year, but it's something that we're always going to need. So I saw people not doing it the right way. So I saw that opportunity for me to do things differently. And it's just a sustainable career that I could provide for my family, help other people, which is what I'm passionate about, and provide. So
yeah, and you're right. There's a lot of work out there in this area for that, and there's a big time need for good, honest, you know, air conditioning companies too. Because unfortunately, I mean, I see it around where I'm at. You know, it's all about putting in a temporary part on the service work, and then that part goes out, and they're constantly coming back too. I've seen it with somebody recently I know, and then they make excuses about the part and blah blah blah. So there's a lot to it, which we're going to start talking about too. So I want to talk about, you know, going into that now. Let's talk about the install process and how it's done. You know, what should potential customers look for when they're needing air conditioning work? So just go into the whole process of how you start.
Got it.
And I mean, whether it's new construction too, or you can just do, you know, if somebody's getting, this is more directed towards majority of people. So if somebody's getting a new AC unit in their house.
Yeah, like what we call retrofit. So it's basically you already have AC, and you're looking for either to improve your efficiency, or, you know, it's just not worth dumping money into a 10 or 12-year-old unit constantly just to keep it going. You know, versus saving, you know, putting in something efficient, and you're going to save that money in the long run, really. So that process, what I normally recommend to the buyer would be do your research first. Nowadays, everything's online. So there's no way not to know how good or bad a company is, because people will talk. That's just the reality of it. If they're not happy, they're going to say something. If you're treating them right, they're going to also say something majority of the time. So I always recommend, I tell customers, I say, go online, do your research, look up the company, look up their history, look up their reviews. Most people won't reach out to somebody else, but most of our business, I'm just going to sidetrack for a second, has come down to referrals. We really haven't done any advertising up until this point, and we've doubled in size just off referrals, because somebody will get a new install and they'll say, listen, use Green Tree. We really, appreciate what they did. So back to the process is do your research, look up how important it is to have a proper install, because there's a lot of companies that can do an install, but if they don't take those proper steps, the longevity of the equipment won't last. You also want to look for not just any unit, what is best for your house. So you have different brands, Train, Carrier, Goodman, Lennox. That may not be the best unit for your house. Just because the price is right doesn't mean it's the best option for what you're trying to achieve. So you're trying to achieve, different customers are different. Somebody wants on 72 degrees, somebody's 78 all the time and they never change the temperature. Some want, a very low humidity. Some want it a little higher because they have allergy issues. So there's so many different variables. I like to just really spend time with the customer and talk to them and see, what are you trying to accomplish? Where's the location of your house? Are you on the water? Are you further out west? All this makes a difference. The location of your equipment. So if you're looking for a new system and your unit's in the attic in a hot, unconditioned space, I'm not going to call brands, but certain brands may not be best suited for your house. And that's the reality of it. So you're paying for a 16 SEER unit, say. That would be our basic go-to in-home solution. And 16, you can go all the way up 20, 22 SEER. But having a 16 SEER unit in your house doesn't mean you're getting 16 SEERs out of the equipment. And that's the reality of it. You need to make sure that the AC contractor is checking your ductwork first off. You have to have the right supply. So especially in a retrofit, we're coming in and you may have a 4-ton, and now we're quoting you for a new 4-ton, but is your duct sized properly, your supplied duct? So that's what branches off and feeds the air into the home. If that's not sized properly, if your grill that brings in your return air to the home is not sized properly, then you're definitely not getting a 16 SEER equipment. You're not getting what you've purchased or what you've invested in. And it's a long-term investment. So it's important to have these things done right. Quick story. I recently quoted a job out by us, and the guy told me, he said, listen, I've had 7 different AC contractors here, because we know people like to get a bunch of bids. And he said, you are the only and first person that went into my attic to look at the ducts. So 7 different companies, 7 contractors, and not one person looked to see if the ducts were sized properly.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's just absurd. That's like number 1 rule is correct airflow, return and supply, if you know what you're doing. So it's important. Those are the things you need to look for. Is the contractor looking at my ductwork? Is he looking at the copper size? Is he flushing the copper when they do the installation? Are they pulling a proper vacuum? Are the guys well trained? So I could go on and on. There's just a lot of things that customers need to look for, and these are the pretty simple ones. Make sure they're checking your ductwork. Make sure that things are sized properly. Make sure the type of unit for the area that you're in, which we could go further into, but there's a lot of different choices. The comfort specialist, as we call them, which would be in my business, it's me that goes in, has to be knowledgeable. He's had to have been in the AC field or done the work.
Yeah, well, see, that's very interesting to me too, because you do have all these variety of people, like you said, that have their AC set. At some, hopefully, I try to tell them to go lower, but some at 80, some at your 72s, some at this, some at that, and it's interesting to hear that the brand matters when it comes to that certain situation, because there's not a lot of AC guys that push different, they'll have their specific brands, obviously, that they're always pushing, whether it's Carrier, Train, whatever. And that's all they're really saying to put in. But you go that extra mile too. And then also you checking on the ductwork, which believe it or not, is a rare thing here too,
Yeah,
you
yeah, I
know, and
believe
it's
it.
an extra step that needs to happen. That's awesome too, man. Like above and beyond for sure.
Yeah, those are like the most important things to when you're installing a new unit. Um, I did have something else. I got sidetracked in my mind and forgot.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Because yeah, I was gonna jump on too. Like, speaking of brand too, like
Yes.
brand wise, and me and you talked about this on the phone or whatever. But brand wise, as far as what do you recommend brand like? Because there's so many AC brands, and like I said, a lot of different companies are pushing different ones. And
There is.
yeah,
And
and
this is
what
a great question.
yeah, because what's going to run the most efficient and last the longest? Obviously, like you said, different areas, different brands, but what's
Yes.
your recommended brand?
Okay. So and this was, I just remembered what I was going to say is, so we're quoting you a 4-ton. I'm just going to sidetrack for a second to
Yeah,
remember.
you're fine.
We're quoting you a 4-ton system. The next contractor is quoting you a 4-ton system. It's important to know that capacity of the 4-ton because not every 4-ton equals the same capacity. So I've seen where contractors put in a 4-ton, but it's a low rated total BTUs, which is your cooling capacity. So they may be on the borderline of a 4 and a 5-ton, and you need to have the highest capacity 4-ton that's available. So that's going to be a deciding factor on what system I'm going to choose too. And there's different matchups. So I could have a 4-ton condenser, and I have 5 or 6 different air handlers that I could choose from. And when they match, that's what actually makes your SEER and your total BTU rating, which is your capacity. So it's super important to know, yeah, I got a 4-ton. I don't understand why yours cools better than mine and yours is a 4-ton too. But the different brands or the different matchups have different capacities. So that was just something else to look for when the homeowner is purchasing a new system. Yeah. Back to your question on, repeat it again. I'm sorry.
Brand, yeah. So
Yes, the brand.
brand.
So I do prefer Train over a lot of different brands because we're in South Florida and they have a second option for an air handler that's in an unconditioned space.
Okay.
So a lot of homes have ACs in the garages.
Which is normal.
A
Yeah.
lot of them are in the attic. So we're talking 160-degree unconditioned space, and we're taking this metal 40-degree cabinet. It is insulated inside with
The air handler, right? Yeah.
correct, the air handler. I'm sorry, yes, and it's a 40-degree cabinet. And we're sticking in a 160-degree attic. How efficient can that really be? And what that creates is it's like taking a glass of ice cold water and sticking it outside in South Florida. It's so hot and humid, it's going to sweat. It's going to drip water on the outside, even if it's an insulated mug. So what happens is you get that in your attic. The cabinet sweats, you get condensation, you get water, you get buildup of mildew. And, the other M word we don't really like to say, but it's South Florida and it happens. Mildew, mold can grow, all kinds of different issues. So anything in the garage, anything in your attic, 100%, if we can fit it, because there are some restrictions, I would say I prefer a Train by far because they design a plastic cabinet that's designed for an unconditioned space. It's almost built like a refrigerator. So it's insulated on the inside, it's thick, it's positive pressure, which means to the homeowner, it blows out of the seams instead of sucking in at the seams. So your standard air handler in a garage, a lot of homes have tape all over the cabinet, like every edge, every corner, because it's sucking in at all those seams. This unit blows air out. There's a little bit of leakage there so that you don't suck in carbon monoxide. So say somebody pulled into their garage and they left their car running, especially older couples in South Florida, they could pull in, you get out the car, you forget about it. Now you got carbon monoxide in your garage. You don't want to draw that into the home.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be dangerous. Same with your attic. It's a whole different space. There's fiberglass floating around. There's all kinds of things. You could get critters up there and you're sucking air into your air handler and just bringing that into your airstream. So having the right equipment for that, that particular area is definitely key for me. You have 10-year warranty on all your brands nowadays, as long as it's registered. This is another good one for the customers. I recommend double checking or having the contractor send the registration once it's registered to you, because I run into this a lot, and these are big companies. it was installed 6 years ago, and they're thinking that it should be under warranty, and it's not, because it was never registered by the company. They either don't do it or they leave it up to the homeowner. Green Tree, we register everything within the 90 days ourselves, and then you'll receive a copy of it. So we make sure that you're covered. And that's a step above what I don't see, because they're just leaving it up to the homeowner. So it's less work for the contractor. But, 5-6 years down the road, the homeowner is the one paying for it. So
yeah, that's huge right
yeah.
there. I mean, I didn't even know that either.
Yeah. So it's got to be registered within 90 days. A homeowner can go to the website and look it up, whether that's, train.com, carrier.com, carrierenterprises.com. Any of the brands have the 10-year warranty, but there's definitely different brands that are going to last longer without headaches within that 10 years. So you have the bottom of the line brands that, yes, they have a 10-year warranty, but in 5 or 6 years, do you want to be paying for the parts covered, but labor's still expensive? It costs the guy in a truck from a company. The manufacturer doesn't cover. They cover the part, just that one part. They don't cover the refrigerant if it leaks. They don't cover the filter dryer. They don't cover the back and forth to the manufacturer to pick up the parts. So there's a lot more involved in labor cost that the homeowner needs to be aware of. So it's another important factor in replacing the AC unit.
Yeah.
And do your research.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great facts, definitely.
Yeah.
You just taught me something too, so that's really good to know, man. That's awesome.
We're always learning.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about you guys a little bit. So you guys have grown as a company, pretty fast over the past few years. Well, what are you doing to stand out from the rest of the air conditioning contractors in your area? What should people take notice of, when choosing an AC contractor? You brushed on this a little bit. Obviously, you go above and beyond, but let's dive deeper into it.
Yes. So for me, or for Green Tree Air Conditioning and our team, I'm a big believer in constant training with the guys. And I tell them in our meetings, excuse me, we need to make this an experience for the customer. And that's the bottom line. A lot of guys or a lot of companies can fix a simple part, a capacitor. But what are we bringing to the table when we show up to the door that the other contractor's not bringing? We can both change a cap. We can both change the same price. But what makes the difference on our end is that experience with the customer. So, and it comes down to detail for us at Green Tree. We have a whole game plan from the beginning. So when a customer calls us and we schedule the call, the customer gets a confirmation, an automatic text once the appointment is booked through our system or software that we use. They get an automatic text. You've been booked with Green Tree Air Conditioning. Your tech will be John or Jesus, whoever the tech is that's going to come out. So they'll know right away, hey, John's coming out. Our time frame is between 11 and 1. So it kind of reminds them. Once the tech is on the way, they also receive another text. Hey, John from Green Tree Air Conditioning is now en route. He should be arriving in the next 30 minutes. Once we pull up to the house, our process is we try and park our trucks in front of the front door. We always park in the street. We never park in anybody's driveway unless it's on a main street and they force us in. But trucks are always on the street. We like to be by the front door. We want them to recognize our logo and remember us. We pull up. We wear booties always. Anytime we go in the house, our shoe covers. I use the word booties, but shoe covers. So we cover our boots, we cover our feet from the second we walk into the house. The guys all have a red mat or a pad that they put down next to the AC to protect the customer's floor. So their tools go on that red mat, their parts, their bucket, whatever that they're going to use goes on that mat to just protect the customer. And it goes into detail of, questions for the customer, understanding what their need is or what they're looking for, what their trouble is. And being considerate of the customer's time, right down to, are you in a rush? Do you have somewhere to go? Do you have a minute? Or do you have some time for us to diagnose? Because you don't know truly the customer's thing. They may have to get the kids to school. They may have to get to work. So we have to be considerate of those things, and being considerate of somebody's time, right? We're all in business, and time is everything. So it's important to be considerate of the customer's time, and then get them involved. Mrs. Jones, this is the process that we're going to take. I'm going to look at the air handler first. I'll need you to show me the thermostat, the air handler. Once I figure out what the problem is, do you mind if I come show you and we could discuss your options? So it just comes down to looking for professionalism. I always say cleanliness because it's important to make sure this is, the homeowner's home. We don't want to come in and track a bunch of dirt and leave a mess for them to clean up. It just doesn't make sense. Clean up after ourselves and make sure that we're leaving their house in better condition than we found it is important for Green Tree. So we do that. And it just comes down to little details of really treating the customer right, and having that experience, speak to them, find out what their issues are. And it comes down to listening, more than talking. And that's always the bottom line. Customers want to be heard.
Yeah. They
know what their issue is. They know it's not working. They're not comfortable, and they want to vent that frustration, and they want you to come to the rescue. That's what it is. We're there to create some connection with the customer, make them feel comfortable, and do the job right.
Yeah.
I may have went off subject a little bit on that topic, but
no, you're fine. Because you're spot on though, because you don't see just the little things like you're talking about, like putting a mat down for the tools and wearing the booties and stuff like that as you're walking in the house. Not many guys do that. They just storm in. They want to get in quick and they leave. They don't even talk to the customer.
Yes.
They don't even say, well, where's the air handler? That's all you hear, and that's it. And the customer's sitting there like, oh, it's up there. They go up, they don't talk. There's no communication. They're in, they're out. If they're then probably another problem down the road happens. And, it's just, and that's huge what you're doing too, because even with us as a company, we just hired a guy that's handling all our warranty work and stuff. So the initial process at the beginning, we have that communication and then follow up and everything with our houses we build. But then I go there, or my brother will go there. And we have those relationships with the customer, and we talk to them, like their family and everything. And then we resolve the problem and look at the problem with them too. It just makes the problem solving easier.
Absolutely.
Too. So that's huge, man, what you're doing. It's the little things that really do matter.
It does, The homeowner needs to feel comfortable. I mean, if I'm calling Comcast or whoever and they're coming into my home, you want to feel comfortable with who's showing up. It's some random person that you don't know, if you've never met, and they're coming into my house. I look at it from a different perspective now when people come to my house to fix something, whether it's Comcast or a guy, whatever it is, and they come trampling in, they leave tie wraps and they leave a mess. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So it definitely, I want our customers to feel the way that I feel when somebody walks into my house. I want them to feel comfortable.
That's a great way of putting it right there. So another thing, like I always bring this up with everybody on every show because it's so important to me, and how we promote ourselves too, is quality and using quality materials, and whether in any form of construction that you're in. We don't skimp and cut corners. Me and you have just been talking about it too. You got to do everything the right way and stay consistent with it and so on. So explain a little bit, we dove into your brands and everything that you like using, but what materials are you using and things are you doing to stand out from your competition? Quality.
As far as quality. So for me, there's a million different brands and there's a million different options of what you could use. So over time, coming from that type of company, they always used good stuff, and they're always shopping it and trying to find better prices. But for me, if I know that this product works and it's a quality product, we've tested it, we've used it, and it's working, I would rather pay more money for that product and know that there's going to be less failure or less issues. In the long run, you may drop down and save a couple dollars, but to send a tech back out there to fix something you just installed or is not the greatest quality and it went bad. Things go bad, good or bad, but the chances are a lot less with a quality product. It's better for the customer because they don't have to be there for you to come back. And it's better for the company as well because we don't need to go back. So quality product makes a difference for sure in the lasting process. And I say this all the time. I mean, you get what you pay for. In reality, if you want the cheapest, you're going to get the cheapest.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen. I mean, it's just like anything you buy, whether it's building a home. If you want the cheapest home, it's just not going to be the greatest, and you're going to have issues. If you're buying a car, it's the same thing. If I go with the least expensive car versus the most expensive, of course, anything could happen, especially with AC or cars, they're mechanical. So things can happen, but it's a lot less likely to happen. You also have a lot better backup from the company with the quality parts. So if you're having an issue and it's a quality part, a lot of these companies will just take care of it right away. Give you a new part, get it done, take care of it, versus fighting back and forth to get it covered for the customer because you used a cheap product or something that wasn't so quality. They're just want to push it out the door, and them standing behind the product is not so much. I feel like that definitely makes a difference. And for AC, I definitely think it is a lot about the process. It's about the product, and the experience. It all has to be wrapped together to make everything right.
Yeah, and most of the time too, like you just said, and I did a whole episode on this, is you pay for what you get. I mean, and I try and hammer this constantly, and especially on every show, and everybody I've had on agrees too. You literally do pay for what you get, but there's still people out there that want to go the cheaper route, and it's such a big investment too. You're spending a lot of money, spend it up front, so you don't have to deal with the nickel and diming later. And it's just it's common, I mean, in so many areas, and unfortunately people are doing it. But that's why I did this too, because I'm so passionate about because it's like you said, it's the long run too. You pay a little bit more for the guy with the better quality and a better reputation, and they're going to come back and help you no matter what down the road. But then you go with the cheaper guy with less quality and not so good reputation, you're never going to see them again, and you're spending more hiring your own guys to come and fix stuff. So that's how it always works.
Yeah.
So.
And we've actually done quite a few this year already. We've redone installs. So I'll give you a quick story, just because these are good stories for, to relate for homeowners. So we had a guy call us, was referred by somebody. We went out, gave a quote to correct his system. It was a Goodman system. It was only a few years old, so it wasn't that old. And he's just, it's not cooling my house. I mean, it's a new unit. We had bought the house, and I can't remember if he had somebody put it in or it was there. I think it was there. But it was only a few years old. Wasn't cooling properly. It's constantly struggling. Runs all day. We gave him our price. Long story short, he didn't go with us. He went with somebody else. No problem. And I always tell customers, listen, if you don't choose to go with us, I'm here. If you want to call me and ask me a question, no problem. Do you think this is right what this guy's doing? And I'll be honest, I think so. Yeah, he's putting the right system in. Good luck, no problem. I take no offense to that. Because I'm not willing to drop our price to where we need to cut corners. And I walk away from jobs all the time. People think I'm crazy. They're like, oh my gosh, you could be busy.
We're the same, man.
It's not worth it. I'm not willing. And I tell the customer, listen, this is where we need to be. And I'm not willing to lower the price to cut any corners and not do your job the way it needs to be done. So back to the story. He goes with the other guy. Somebody he knows from his church recommended him. They know somebody. So the guy does the install. And it happens to be this guy used to work for me at another company, so he knew me. Just a funny thing that happened. So 3 weeks later, the guy called, or he sends me a long text, first off. Very long text saying, I didn't want to call you. I've been trying to build up the the go-to to be able to call you. I didn't want to say anything because I feel bad, but honestly, he's like, would you be willing to come back and install your system that you said you were going to install? I'm going to have this other guy come back Monday, and this was Saturday, remove the system and install what you proposed at your price. And I had to think about it. And it's not that I'm not willing to. It was it was this upcoming Monday. I had to move things around to make it work for the customer. So long story short, we happened to do it on Monday. The guy came, he ripped out his system. We reinstalled our system. A week later, I got a text this long saying that he made such a good, he made a big mistake. He's super happy. Everything's working amazing. And he could see the difference in what we did versus what they did. And even the quality of, our guys doing the job. So, and we've done, I want to say 6 or 7 of these reinstalls. And we've had customers that paid, $5,000 or $6,000 2 years ago. And now we're uninstalling and reinstalling. So they're paying more than they would have paid from us. Yeah. And it was the same story. One more customer this year we had quoted 2 years ago. They went with somebody else. We had to go and redo the whole install.
Mm-hmm. I've had that happen. I do the same thing too in building, believe it or not. And these are much larger projects. Yeah. And I recently had something, because I always say what you say too, best of luck to you. I don't, I never bash the other builder or anything. Yeah, no hard feelings. If you need anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'm still happy to help you throughout your build process, and I just had somebody recently do it. And she said, I wish we would have went with you. It
goes a long way.
Yeah.
That person will refer you. They didn't use you, but they will refer you.
That's the thing, and then if they build their next house, which more than likely they will, guess who they're going to choose to come to, and we were the higher price builder. Yeah. And it happens all the time, but we're not meant for everybody. Me and you talked about that too. And you just move on, you be nice, and you play the long term with them too. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So off of that topic too, I always like to talk, because this is huge. Talking price, let's talk a little bit about that. What should customers know up front when you're discussing pricing structure with an AC contractor?
So they need to, not that they need to know, but they need to know their needs. Mm-hmm. When we come, we're going to ask, what are your needs? What are you looking to achieve? Do you want to be at? And it's important that the homeowner discusses this with whoever the contractor is. Do you leave your AC on 68 degrees? Please let us know, or let your contractor know, even if they don't ask. They should be asking you, but if they don't ask you, let them know. I like it freezing in my house. I like it at 72 degrees or 70 degrees all day long. I never take it off, because that's an important question. Especially in South Florida, it could be 100 degrees. We achieve 68 degrees with the best system. We may not be able to achieve that because of the house. It depends on, what year it was built. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. Do you have allergy issues? Do you have breathing issues? Are you concerned about mold or mildew? Are you concerned about high humidity? These are questions that the homeowner should be asking the contractor. I have allergies. I have little kids that have allergies. We're very concerned about mold or mildew. It always seems, I keep it on 75 degrees, but it still feels hot. It feels like a little wet in here. So these are all factors that we need to understand to get the right unit for that customer. Because like I said, there's so many different matchups. There's a variable speed air handler versus a non-variable speed air handler. The variable speed air handler are going to remove more moisture. So they're going to ramp up in what we call an enhanced mode. So it'll run at 50% for about a minute, minute and a half. It'll ramp up for the next 7.5 minutes at 80%, and then it'll reach at 100%. But while it's in those lower modes, you're dehumidifying more, removing more moisture. So you have your thermostat 75, I have mine on 75. We could have 2 different feels. I could be freezing, you could not be freezing, and that's due to the humidity in your home. Mm-hmm. So it's important to get these things across to your contractor and find out exactly what you want to achieve. Then we get down to price. that's a big widespread thing too. And I like to speak to the homeowner and see where they're comfortable. We have systems in this price range, say 4,000 to 6,000. Then we have systems anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000. Where are you comfortable within that range? So I want to know where the homeowner's comfortable, because they typically, before we go there, they know what to expect, or they know what they're already thinking. This is what I could afford. This is what I want to spend. So we want to stay within your range of where you're comfortable. I don't want to bump you up to an $8,000 system that, it's the top of the line, or it's going to remove extra humidity, but you're not comfortable in that payment, if you're financing, or you're not comfortable in writing a check for $8,000. So we can find something within that lower range to meet your needs. So it's definitely, I would say, don't expect to pay. There's so many different ranges, but I don't know if I should put a number on this.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you too. So if they're looking, like, how do they know they're not going to get ripped off? Let's put it that way. What's the best strategy for a customer, kind of to know? It's hard to probably for you to explain.
It is, but what are you getting from this contractor? And it's important to question, what are you getting from this contractor for that $4,000 or $5,000?
Yeah, okay.
I had a customer last week that we had been taking care of. She got a couple quotes when it was time to do the install. And she sent them to me because she's like, look, they're lower than you. And I said, okay.
Which usually you get that a lot.
Yeah, which is normal. But so I looked over it, and her issue was her copper lines is what was leaking the refrigerant, because we did an isolation test. We tested the copper lines, but the unit was 12 years old. So I said, listen, if you replace the system now, we'll do the lines for a lot less than we would if it was just the lines. So now you're getting money towards a new system. It doesn't make sense. It's inefficient. It's been running without refrigerant multiple times. So all these quotes, nobody was changing the copper lines. So she would have replaced the system, didn't change the copper lines, and would have had the same issue. So for the homeowner, it's important to know, what are you getting for that money?
Yeah.
So I'm at 4,000, say, or I'm at 5,000. The next contractor's at 5,000. Everything should be detailed. Are they flushing the copper lines? Who are they sending to my home? Look at their reviews. People will talk about the techs that come out to the house. What type of equipment? What type of guarantee am I getting on labor versus parts and equipment through the manufacturer? What's the process that they're going to take to install my system? Are they taking the right process? These are things that are going to be a little difficult for the homeowner, but everything's detailed on that paper. So compare apples to apples. And if it doesn't make sense, call that other contractor and say, listen, I'm a little confused. One says this one says this. Do your research, understand what you're talking about a little bit. If that's, just replacing copper lines versus not replacing it, how important is it to flush those copper lines? Do that research and look and say, hey, this contractor, when I said flush the lines, had no clue what I was even talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little hard because it's our lingo.
It's good, because I've talked about it a lot with us. I've actually had customers where, because as builders, we have to do a feature sheet and so on. So we kind of explain everything we're putting into the house. And I always say, too, look through theirs with a competitor. Look at the allowances, because we give allowances for certain things. Most of the time, mine are 10 times higher than the other builder. And I've seen it multiple times where, I've seen one builder give $7,500 on appliances. I mean, that's buying your stove and your fridge, if that, on a high end.
Exactly.
That's on a big house. So I'm like, $7,500. Well, I'm giving them $40,000. So,
huge difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you said, just look, because if you can explain or write out everything in your proposal, which unfortunately a lot of guys don't, that's where you have the advantage too, to show them that, hey, this is why I'm giving you all this. That's why you're not getting ripped off.
Yeah. And I'm going to take that away from today's thing too, is maybe I should even I'm pretty detail oriented, be a little more detailed.
Yeah. It's huge.
It is, yeah. So I've
I mean,
taken.
because our sheets, I mean, every time I do one, it gets more and more spanned out too. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
up to like 14 pages on some of these things of every single room in the house and what we're doing. And people love that because they can see, because a lot of these contractors don't do it. It'll be quick. It'll be like 3 pages, sign at the bottom line, and let's start
Yeah.
building your house. But what are you getting?
No,
And
I like that.
people,
I
and
really do.
having all that detail with you. All right,
Yeah.
what's his proposal, especially in your business too, what's his proposal look like? And then she shows you it's some chintzy,
Yeah.
thing that basically says replacing a unit in
Correct.
one sentence,
Yeah.
and then yours is all spanned out of everything, flushing the lines, doing this,
Correct.
put a Freon in, doing whatever
Yeah.
you got to do,
Yeah.
so yours goes about more, and they're just like, wow,
Yeah.
okay. And that's why I'm paying more.
Yeah. And there's one more important detail to which I'm just going to bring up, and this is hard for the homeowner. So this is going to, go towards the contractor and really hiring a quality contractor, because again, they installed the 16 SEER, and I see this day and day again. Maybe everything's correct as far as the ductwork. Maybe they took the right process, but there's a certain way we need to charge a system, especially the new systems. And if it's not charged properly, again, they're losing capacity or they're losing that efficiency. And we run across it. They're like, it's a brand new system. It's only a year old. We just want to do a maintenance. And we get there and they're like, well, how could it be, low on refrigerant? And we don't know 100%. It's not that it's low, but it's not charged properly. So, it is low on gas, but it needs to be charged to these proper specs in order for you to be getting the efficiency out of it and getting what you're paying for.
Yeah.
So that's why I would recommend, definitely it's worth paying more for a quality provider, a quality AC company versus somebody your friend knows and could do it for $3,000, because in the long run, you're losing 100%. You're losing.
Yeah, exactly. So let's brush on that and keep moving here. Like,
Yeah.
we know, obviously, the building economy has been great and so on recently, and material prices are currently high. For a lot of people are seeing this. Are we at the top of the market with construction prices? I personally kind of think we are, but how do you deal with a customer that's shopping a cheaper contractor? So you explain this a little bit too, but let's kind of bounce off of this though. So cost effectiveness too. It's because I just read this question. You already dived into it, but so if somebody wants to be cost effective, with materials and everything being high, what do you do to make it more cost effective for them? What can they do, or a customer do, I guess? Is there ways,
Yes.
certain units, certain things that they can save money?
Yes. There's definitely options. And again, that comes down to the contractor more than anything, and understanding where that homeowner is comfortable.
Okay.
I just don't have the money.
Yeah.
I need to be here, but I want a quality install. I want it to work right. I don't want to, I don't want it to not, I don't want to spend this much money and it still not work properly and cool my house, but I'm on a budget. I need to be where I need to be. That's just the way it goes. So we have a couple different options. One, we could always move around as far as SEER, as efficiency on the equipment, brand of equipment. There are definitely brands that are not as good, but again, it comes down to that quality install.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those contractors that are installing the cheapest of the cheap units are that lower end installer. They're not taking those proper steps. We could definitely do certain things to achieve a lower end price. We also have, obviously, we have financing options, which you're on a budget. You only have $4,000, but maybe you could afford a monthly payment, a lower monthly payment, for that extra $1,000 to get something better, and that's going to last you longer. But there's different options. We offer, 0% for so many months, certain times of the year. There's also programs out there like Y Green, which do involve interest, but they own the home. They have some equity in the home. It's a good option for certain people. And it's just another avenue for them to get in without having to come out of the pocket or paying super high interest or getting a bad job just to save, a couple of dollars. So the prices, back to the question, as far as them being as high as they are, I definitely think, we're definitely at the top because the market's good. Things are moving. We have price increases on equipment once to twice a year on average. And I don't know if that price increase is ever going to stop. If the market tops off, I don't know if they're going to continue to go up because AC is needed. It's an essential, so you have to have it. I would hope not. I would hope they kind of level off with that, for the homeowner's sake. But we definitely will work with the customer wherever they need to be. And if that means, going back into the attic versus taking it out of the attic, because we do like to take units out of the attic if possible, put them in an air-conditioned space. We'll go back into the attic and we'll find a way to get you where you need to be, whether that's, if your AC is working and we need to do it in December or January when it's, a lot slower. And we'll help the customer out and try and figure out a way to where they can afford it and feel comfortable. We don't want them walking away like, I just spent all this money, now I'm hurting. I needed the AC, but I feel like I shouldn't have spent an extra $1,000 to get a train system over a Goodman system. We don't want you to feel that way. So we're not going to put you in that spot unless you're comfortable. We explain the situation and, there's different avenues. We just work it out to where we can help the customer the best that we can and do the job right.
Yeah, and that's the main thing too. I mean, if they need to save money and they need to go with the Goodman system, at least they can rely on you doing the ductwork correctly. That's going to make the system last longer, unlike the other less expensive guy that's going to do the ductwork like, crap, and then it's just going to shut down the system, and then you're going in later and replacing it. So
because we've done the cheaper units and they've lasted 10 years. We've done less expensive units that lasted without a problem.
Yeah.
I say that all the time. Yeah, they use cheaper materials. It's cheaper equipment. They're cheaper for a reason, but they will last if you do it right. Those proper steps. It's a big difference. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so let's talk about your company is obviously growing and continues to grow year after year. And obviously that means you have to manage a lot of employees. So, you want to deliver that same, you have your core values, you want to deliver that same quality product that you've been doing for your past years and continuously do so. So how do you maintain the same standard of service to the customer with so many employees?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I believe in a lot of training, a lot of meetings. When I hire guys or when we go through that hiring process, we look for things in guys. And I explain what we look for as a team, the culture that we bring, through Green Tree. And a lot of this, in the past year, I've learned from something called Arate that we belong to. And that's that culture. And I've always had that kind of idea, but they've helped me put that into play to where it's a constant training. I've made little signs. So we have, those little printers and they print those little labels. And we print labels. I've printed labels that says, always do the right thing. And I stick it in their truck where they can see it. So we have morning meetings where we talk about customer experience. If you don't know, call me, ask, make sure you speak with the homeowner. Don't lie to them. Don't make something up. Say, ma'am, honestly, I don't know the answer to that question. Let me find out for you. There's no point in trying to hide or sneak around or lie. Be honest. And we build that culture within the company as far as always doing the right thing. That's super important to us. If we don't sell a unit today because they're not in need of it, they'll come back to us when they are. We don't push sales. We don't push, hey, you need a new system just because it's 10 years old. If it's still efficient and still working properly and we could leave it, we're going to leave it. That homeowner, we're going to build that relationship to where they trust us and they're going to come back to us. So I think it's super important to instill this within the company, within your guys, girls, whoever's in the company. And that comes right down to the office as far as today's a new day. You know, my kids get mad at me because I smile and I'm so happy in the morning. They're like, leave me alone, Dad. You know, I want to go to sleep, or I got to go to school. Why are you so happy? I said, guys, we're alive. It's another day. You know, we woke up this morning.
Yeah.
So I tell the same thing to my guys when they come in. Come on, guys, let's smile, have a coffee. Let's get our day started. You know, we're alive. We have another chance to do the right thing. So building that culture and having that open relationship with my guys, I constantly take input. You know, I'm the only owner, so I'm the single owner. Give me feedback. Tell me what I'm not seeing or what you guys are seeing that I'm not seeing. Feed me some information. There may be things I'm doing. There may be things that you're seeing that homeowners aren't happy or that we could do better. So we keep that open relationship. We constantly have meetings, and we build that culture amongst each other. We're all a team. I don't want to hear guys talking about other guys. If a guy leaves something, you know, don't not pick it up just because he left it and it's his responsibility. Pick it up, give it to him. Say, hey, don't leave your stuff here. It's important. You know, the next guy could trip. Just think about each other and build this team and this relationship. I feel like constant training on, you know, and we go deeper than just that talking, obviously. We go into technical stuff as far as training. So we have some equipment in the office or in the warehouse that we do regular training. We go to classes, Train will put on classes, Carrier will put on classes for follow-up education. I have the guys sit down at the computer and we do training on the computer. I think we talked about some of that as well. So we use some of that online training, and that's just customer service. There's just so many different things, and I feel like other companies are not giving that to their employees. That and I don't want to say just in my industry, because it's definitely in every industry, having that relationship with the guys. Construction, HVAC, these are all tough jobs, tough field, because guys are, you know, you're out in the field, it's hot, it's long days, you're working 10, 12-hour days. You could be in an attic for 12 hours in a day and completely drenched, uncomfortable, pissed off because it's not going your way.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yeah, it's hard to smile. And that's the reality of it. I've been there. Yeah. You know, those days you're exhausted. But my guys come back, and they've come back 10, 11 o'clock at night. And we obviously we try not to do that, but sometimes we have to, because we got to get the job done. They come back to the office and they sweep out and they clean the truck, because they know everything needs to be in order, because tomorrow's a new day. And we're going to start fresh, and we're going to have a smile, and we're going to go take care of the customers. So building this culture and this rapport between our team leads to the customer. I definitely feel like, and this is part of the reason I went on my own, is because I'm the type of guy that's always going to give 120%. Mm-hmm. If I work for somebody, I don't care how they treat me, because I take a lot of pride in what I do. So it's still my reputation, but not everybody's like that. They get treated bad, they're not going to give quality work. And that's the reality for a lot of people. They want to be respected. They want to be treated right. So a lot of companies will say, number one priority is take care of the customers. And for us, it's take care of the guys. And then the guys or women, you know, guys and women, they will take care of the customer. If they feel appreciated, most people like to learn. I think, you know, they want to learn. They may just not have the avenue to learn. So if you're willing to teach them and spend time with them, they do appreciate it. We recently had a guy that left, and I wished him the best. This was 8 months ago, because he thought this was something, he wanted to work on AC on yachts. This was something he had been wanting to do. This is nothing I can offer him. So I said, absolutely, man. I said, go for it, learn, call me anytime. I reached out to him a couple times. How's it going? I hope you like it. He happened to change his phone, so we couldn't get a hold of him. Great tech. And he just called last week. And he left. He was getting a lot more money working on yachts. He called and he said he made the biggest mistake. He wants to come back for less money. He'd rather work and feel appreciated and work for a professional company than get more money and deal with what he's dealing with, because he's just not appreciated by the company.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes a long way.
Yeah.
I
No,
definitely see it.
yeah, I definitely agree, man. Because it's huge. Because you treat your employees right, and because I mean everybody wants to be a part of something
Yeah,
too. You know, something
yeah,
that's more than it's not just coming into work, clocking in, go get in your truck and do the work and come back, clock
yeah,
out. No, they want to be a part of something that's more above and beyond anything else that delivers those values that you just talked about too. And then also, I mean, that with them being happy, that brushes off on you as far as that's what ties into the customer service that
yeah.
we talked about earlier, and going above and beyond for the customer too,
Yeah,
which
they see the effects of that.
hmm yeah, and then they want to work for you long term too, because I mean they're getting if they're working till 11, they're getting paid obviously, and
Yeah,
then they know, okay, I'm working for a good company that's growing. That means I'm
correct,
going to grow. I'm going to make more money,
correct.
and it all stems up
Yeah.
and climbs up the ladder.
A
So,
lot of weeks, the guys will work 60 hours, Monday through Friday.
hmm
Summertime, our schedule requires 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. But
hmm
I will leave it open for emergencies and not really plan anything because I know they work hard all week. So if I can give them off Saturday, I'll work all day Saturday. I'll go run calls
hmm
all day so that they can have off or they can alternate off to have that extra day because it's a long week and it's
yeah,
hot and it's tiring and I just want them to know I appreciate them. Take this weekend off. If I can give it off, I'll put in the work or
yeah,
I'll
that's awesome.
alternate. So I think that definitely plays a part in the whole experience for the homeowner as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that kind of stems into my next question, and I always
Yeah.
ask this one as well. So the long term relationships, obviously, with customers is huge after the
Yes.
transaction, and not a lot of people think about afterwards and and they kind of just they get paid and they move on. You never
Yeah.
hear from the company again, and that's a lot of companies that unfortunately do that. And I've put an emphasis on after the transaction and taking care of customers. I mean, the other day I just had a guy. It was yesterday actually. I was showing houses, and or a couple days ago I was showing houses. I was in pants, dress shoes, and I was dressed up. But he's like,
Yeah.
"Hey man, I gotta my light, my can light. It looks like there's condensation growing around it. Can you come look at this? I don't know if it's mold. Blah blah blah. I don't know if I got a roof leak." Well, guess who ended up having to go into his attic and crawl around in dress shoes and everything? But I still did it. I looked, there was no leaks, nothing. Walked down is because the AC vent was actually blowing on the can light. So
Cold metal versus the
yeah,
hot in the attic
yeah.
creates.
So that was his issue. So all I did was I turned the AC vent to face the other way and blow the other direction for
Yeah,
him. And he's like, "That was it." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." It's
yeah,
like, "Good seeing you again, and have a great day." And then moved on. I didn't charge him nothing, and
yeah. That goes a long way.
yeah, and he was a customer from 3 years ago. Obviously, he's out of warranty, but it's still helping him no matter what. And just, I
Yeah,
mean, it didn't take me that much time, but probably 30 minutes of my day. But I had the
yeah.
time in between to do it. So I mean, the long term is huge. So how are you, you know, maintaining the relationships after you're
Yes.
done with
And this is an
install?
important question, and this is something where Green Tree, I think, stands apart. Um, is we want to get you, obviously, we want to put down a maintenance agreement to maintain that system. So a lot of homeowners will buy a system, brand new six, seven, $8,000 investment, and think they're good for 10 years.
Hmm
Well, they need to be educated. They don't know. You know, yeah, it's brand new. I shouldn't have to do anything. I don't have to spend any money, but you need to maintain your system. Especially where we're at. We're in South Florida. So it's hot, it's humid, right? These units remove a lot of moisture out of the air. We're constantly dehumidifying as we're cooling. So we're removing a lot of water, which creates algae in our drain line pipe. So they will back up, especially with the new systems. Then your air handler is cold, dark, and wet. It's like a science project in there. It's the perfect environment for mold or mildew to grow. So this is where we stand apart, and I say this all the time, is part of our our logo is we care about clean air, and have worked for multiple companies. The maintenance guy goes out, blows out the drain line if they check the pressures, and they're gone. and they charge whatever for their yearly maintenance agreement. So our maintenance agreement at Greentree is $199, and this is for the year. We charge it for the year. We come out twice a year, and we'll not only blow out the drain line, we'll check your pressures, we'll check all your components. We rinse the condenser coil, because a lot of times they're either, for whatever reason, home builders put them next to the dryer vent is right behind ACs in a lot of older homes. Mm-hmm. So we get all that venting right on the back of the coil. It's completely clogged. Landscapers come, they cut the grass, they blow all the grass, all the leaves go into the side of the AC unit. So all that needs to get rinsed out because it builds moisture at the bottom of that condenser coil, and you could end up with leaks. So if you're on the salt water, if you're on the intercoastal, that should be rinsed on a regular basis. So we're there twice a year. We recommend they rinse it in between, but we rinse down their condenser coil. We open the air handler, and we use a sanitizer, and we wipe and sanitize the wires, the cavity, so the doors, anywhere, because stuff will grow. I don't care if it's a year old, if it's 2 years old, it grows because it's the perfect environment. So us wiping it down and keeping it clean every 6 months is just benefiting the homeowner in their breathing and their everyday living. Mm-hmm. So it's important. We've had customers where they said, we went out as the new contractor, and they said, oh, we've been maintaining it for the last 10 years. It should be in great shape. And we open it up, and I mean, it's covered like growth, like furry growth all over the inside of the air handler. And we've had that with year-old customers. It's only a year old, it's new construction. Just come out and check it. There's nothing wrong. I know. We'll pull the panel, and I'll say, come take a look. And this is in an air-conditioned space, and there's growth all over the front of it. So I said, it's super important to have this maintained. It really is. Wiped and sanitized. Make sure that the contractor's opening it up. They shouldn't mind if you're standing behind them. They could stand over our shoulders and watch us. Make sure they're wiping and sanitizing the inside of that unit. Make sure they're blowing out the drain line and treating it with a solution to keep that algae from building up. Make sure that they're rinsing the condenser coil, or at least, checking it and letting you know, hey, it needs to be done. We don't provide the customer, we can provide the customer filters, but normally they have their own filters, or we'll provide them a set of 12. We'll change it while we're there. Unfortunately, we can't walk around, keep every filter on our truck. There's just too many. So it's important to make sure that homeowner is educated when we come out to do a maintenance. This is where you need to be pouring your solution down every month. You need to stay on top of your filter, whether that's 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. Customers will buy a filter that says 90 days. That doesn't mean it's 90 days. That really depends on the homeowner, dogs, cats, kids, in and out. Depends on the traffic of the home. So it's important, stay on top of your filter, pour your stuff down your drain line, have it maintained once or twice a year at a minimum for that to last and for your health.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So we maintain that. And one more thing before I forget, we include an 11% discount for our maintenance customers. So if something does happen or something goes down, they get an 11% discount on whatever it is that needs to be fixed. So we're making sure that we're taking care of the customer while we're there.
And continuing that long term with them. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's important.
So final question I always ask is, what exactly do people need to look for when hiring an AC contractor, and why should they choose Greentree Air Conditioning as their contractor of choice?
I lost you, buddy. Sorry. The internet connection, I heard half of it.
So what exactly do people need to look for when hiring an AC contractor, and why should they choose Greentree Air Conditioning as their contractor of choice?
Got it. So nowadays, I'm going to refer back to Google. They need to go on, Google, Facebook, Yelp. They look up the reviews, because people talk. It's basically our old school referral system. It's word of mouth, but it's word of mouth for everybody to see. So go online. Look at the responses of the contractor. What is the contractor saying to the negative review? Is he fighting with the customer? Does that make sense? Is that somebody you want coming to your house? What are the reviews on the texts that are coming out? Do they like the text? Were they happy? Look for somebody obviously who's licensed in the AC industry. So they need to be a licensed contractor. Look at their reputation as far as reviews, go on their website. Are things done professional? Do things look like it's not so professional? We recently just did a Google shoot here where, when they look up Green Tree, you could Google a contractor and you don't know, he could be a one-man show that doesn't care once he leaves your house, one man in a van, but you can't tell from that Google review. So now it'll show our office, it'll show the trucks, it'll show the warehouse. So make sure that they're a company that's reputable. You can call the city, you can look up their state license, make sure they're licensed, look up their reviews, make sure that they're doing the right thing. And of course, why you should hire Green Tree is because we truly care. I mean, we do care about the customer. We want to make sure that you're taken care of and that, you have longevity with your equipment, that you have somebody you can trust, you have somebody you can call anytime for advice. We definitely have customers that call us, do you know a plumber? Do you know, an electrician? I get those texts at all hours because my personal number's out there. And I respond, yeah, I like to have a good referral. And I actually watched this on your show, and that was something I got from one of your other ones. Mm-hmm. It was being that resource to your homeowner. So I was doing that, but I'm definitely more involved in doing that. Let me be your resource. At Green Tree, we will be your resource. If you need a home builder on Marco Island, we know the perfect guy, the real build. So it's just having those resources and standing out for the customer. We're here for you. If you don't go with us, we're still here for you. We will guide you in the right direction, and we won't BS you. We're just honest. And if you don't like something that we did, we'll come right back and take care of it. There's no question. There's never going to be a fight. There's never going to be an argument. We're not going to not show up. We will be there and we will make it right, if it's not right from the beginning. So that's the reason you should choose Green Tree. If you want clean air, we got another one that says, go green and breathe clean. We care about the quality of your health, your kids' health. We care about the quality of your AC, and we want to make sure that we're helping South Florida to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, and you've definitely proven that with this show, Chad. So man, this has been awesome. So much great info, man, and it's such a huge topic, and I really do appreciate you coming on. Absolutely. So one last thing, I mean, where can people find you, connect with you in any kind of way, whether it's social, whatever, where can they find you at?
So we're, on all the social media platforms. Facebook is an easy one to find us and speak with us or send messages. GreenTreeAC.com is our website where we have a little pop-up bar that will pop up. You can communicate directly. And that actually goes directly to me if nobody's in the office, so I'll respond right away. All the social media, IG, we're at GreenTreeAC, at GreenTreeAC. Google's always good. Google us, Green Tree Air Conditioning, South Florida, Broward County. Look us up, check out our reviews. If you've used us, leave a review. We appreciate it. We appreciate our customers. We appreciate being on this platform and helping, the homeowners, providing them with information. So I'm always here. Contact us. If you live on Marco Island, you need some AC advice, call us.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, man. This was great once again. And thanks, guys, for listening. And yeah, thanks, man. And thanks, guys, for listening. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Cool. Take care, guys.